next in our saga is going to be the base. So the lamp is going to be made substantially of 1-inch pipe. Now you might ask, why 1 inch? 3/4 big enough and it's cheaper. Au contraire. Because 1 inch is the size of sprinkler pipe. And at the building where I work, every time they do a tenant demolition, they throw away 50, 70, 100 feet of sprinkler pipe. Now I haven't hauled all of it home, but I've hauled home a bunch of it. So I have no shortage of 1-inch pipe. So 1-inch pipe it is. Plus, when you consider the scale of this, 1 inch seems about right. Speaking of this is called a sheave. I know you were thinking it's a pulley. And in common parlance, it may be called a pulley, but it's not actually a pulley. A pulley applies power from a shaft to a rope or a cable. A sheave merely turns the direction of a rope or a cable. And this was on 2 big bearings and has a big cast iron counterweight over there. And this was in an elevator shaft, and the weight of the big cast iron kept tension on the elevator cables. So this is a big sheave. Now, as soon as I saw that I could carry this thing home, my first thought was that would be a great base for a big floor lamp. One little problem is that this hub is sticking out slightly farther than the perimeter. So one of the things I've done after I cleaned everything up is I've ground away most of 1/8 of an inch of this hub material. And I've put a straight edge across here and confirmed that the high spot is now the perimeter, so it will not rock on the floor. Secondly, I have given some thought to how the 1-inch pipe needs to come up out of this hole. Obviously, that hole's a lot bigger than this pipe. Now, I could use a standard floor flange. This is a standard 1-inch pipe floor flange. The idea of a floor flange is it's not actually a plumbing piece at all. It's actually for using pipe as handrail or something like that. You screw it to a deck and the pipe comes up out of it. And it looks okay here. That's not a terrible look at all. And if I have to, I'll use it. But digging through my supplies, I found this bronze pump impeller. You can see where I've turned it a little bit. It has a nice shiny bronze color. So this will really kind of take a shine in a nice, pleasant, old-fashioned look. So if this impeller were mounted here and could be shined up some, then it'd make a nice transition to the 1-inch pipe. It's about the right size that if I put it in the lathe and bore out, take out about 40 thousandths out of here, then I think I could make a nice press fit. Press it in with 10 tons or so of pressure, and I think that that would lock in real pleasantly. With the pipe locked into here, and then this attached to here. Attached how? Haven't decided yet. But there's bound to be a decent way. But for now, we're going to get the base done and the pipe coming out of the base. I hope you enjoy watching as much as I enjoy doing.
So we'll be press fitting this 1-inch sprinkler pipe into this bronze flange. It's an impeller, but it's about to be a flange for us. The machinery's handbook says that for this diameter, which is just a little bit over 1 inch, that an interference fit would be between 1.4 and 1.8 thousandths of an inch. That this would be 1.4 thousandths of an inch bigger than the hole. However, because this is hollow and is going to have some inward flexibility that a solid shaft would not, I'm going to err on the high side, and I'm going to say something at least a couple thousandths. Alright, so that is just enough to clean up. So that is 1.308. So we want our hole in here to be 1.306. We're actually making the hole smaller than the pipe. $1.273. So I'm going to measure it again. Yeah, 1.274. So you need to take out about 25 thousandths, I mean a smidgen more than that. So now I'm taking out about 14 right now. $1.282. About 91. .307. Looking at the length of our pipe here, this is clearly too long to use our hydraulic press, so we're going to go a different route. So I have here an 8-foot length of 5/8 inch all thread, and we're going to be using it as an improvised press. The all thread runs through the pipe, runs through the part that we want to press together, and I'm going to put a wrench on that end and a wrench on this end and crank it together until this part sucks on. I'd have to look it up, but I think 5/8 all thread is good for certainly something north of 10,000 pounds, which is 5 tons. I think that'll do the trick. I have the nut captured in that far end in that vise, and then this nut will be free, and I'm just going to crank it on until the part sucks up. And there we have it. It was a little bit of a fight, not too bad. I had to turn the wrench hard, but I didn't have to grit my teeth and grunt. So we now have that pipe mounted in that flange. So my plan now is this. This bronze flange is about 1.75. This is about 2.440. As it turns out, this dumbbell is 2.444, so I can shave 4 thousandths off of this and get a tight fit into there, and then I can bore out the middle to 1.75 and get a good fit from there into here. There again, I will go for a press fit. I have this shirt covering the ways to protect it from cast iron, which is very abrasive if it comes off in little chips. Right now, I have this bore here turned about 2 thousandths smaller than this bore, which should be a nice pleasant press fit. I have this shaft slip chuck installed that has a nice diameter for pressing this direction. So I'm going to hold the part with channel locks, heat it up to a couple 200 or 300 degrees, and then carry it over here and press it on. Once it's hot, this bore will actually be slightly larger than that and should go on without too much of a fight. Come on. So there it is, pressed on. Nice and tight, not going anywhere anytime soon. So I just measured the hole in the sheave, and it's 3.440 exactly. This is 3.480, so we need to take off 40 thousandths. So I've just turned this down to 1.444. It's about 4 thousandths larger than the bore over there. So there again should be a nice press fit. So I stood the thing up on the floor and figured about where I needed the T to be, cut it off on the bandsaw, and just finished cutting a thread on it using a ratcheting pipe threader. After I threaded on the pipe T, I went ahead and took the whole thing to the wire wheel and cleaned off all the shellac and all the little bit of rust and scale that had developed on there to leave a nice burnished look. So a little shorter piece of rod to work with for pulling this pulley on, but the same basic idea as before. This rod runs all the way through, and as I tighten this nut down,
it's going to draw this sheave up onto this journal right here. And there we have it. The pipe mounted into the sheave, standing flat on the floor, ready to install the upper part. I need to connect from this 1-inch T into this 1/4-inch pipe, because this is going to sit right here. So to turn a corner and go from 1 inch to 1/4, looking through my brass fittings, I found this. This is a big brass plug of some kind. I'm not sure if it's brass or bronze, and I'm honestly not sure what that's out of. Some kind of a bushing for something. And then a 1/4-inch brass elbow. So this is actually a nice tight fit, just by random chance, that will squeeze into there and solder up nice and tight. And then this I will put in the lathe and turn to 1-inch pipe thread so that it can be screwed in there. I think this may be bronze. Not sure how well it's gonna wick solder, but we're just gonna try and find out. So when you're doing this, you want to heat the outer fitting, because part of what you want to happen is the expansion and contraction to suck down. And I'm going to use a lead-free plumbing solder that's harder than an electrical solder. It's still not a silver solder, but it's close enough. There's a lot of mass here, so it's going to take a second to heat up. Coloration that we're close. I need the ring to be hot enough to melt the brass, not just the elbow. There it goes. So I saw the molten brass come down these sides. Or the molten solder, I should say. From the back side, we can see molten solder that came through and pooled down in there. So that tells me that the entire ring of this joint did get hit with molten solder. We're going to use the taper attachment and put a regular tapered NPT thread on it. First I have to bring it down to the size, which is 1.300. This is definitely a bronze, not a brass. It cuts pretty hard. So now I have the taper attachment locked in. It's set at 0.75 inches per foot, which is what the taper for the NPT uses. And the first thing I'm going to do is just taper this surface. I have my compound set at 29.5 degrees. And I have the thread cutting bit installed, and on center I have the gearbox set for 11.5. I have the taper attachment, so we're going to follow the taper, and we'll just cut this 11.5 thread. And I'm going to see if this fitting screws on. Yeah, it does indeed. Gets tight pretty fast, which is actually what I want. So it appears I kind of got lucky, which is to say that this, the way the thread went on here, this is coming up to finger tight right at that position. And what I want to do is I want to screw the gauge and the switch fitting on here in this orientation, and then bring it on up for final. And that's really just right for doing that. So if it were exactly backwards, I would have had to take some kind of extreme measures, maybe even remelt this and spin it around. But as it is, it's clocked exactly the way I need it to be. Hooray for me. These wires are a bit of a pain to fish, mostly because they have this tacky rubberized sealant on them. Alright, I'm happy with that thread engagement. Come on, where's that one go? Alright, so far so good. As long as we clear this pipe, that's the tricky part. Oh, not by much, but we cleared it. Alright, now for some Loctite. Okay, Loctite for that place. I'm going to give this another complete revolution. Up to final position. I think I like it. And thanks for watching.